How's it going today, you guys? So, I've been doing a history investigation in my town, and I figure I might as well, do a paranormal investigation too. I do have a haunting in my house, and I've been trying to figure out where it's come from, and that's led me to a wider history investigation into my town. And what I've been doing right now is I've been investigating one of the older cemeteries in the town. It's very interesting, the history, and how when you start looking at something, one piece of one piece of information can lead to another, that can lead to another, and lead to another, and before you know it, you've tripled the amount of stuff that you have to look into. And I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm kind of enjoying it a little bit. It takes me away from the monotony of doing deliveries all day. So, but what I want to talk about is legends and rumors, myths, and everything else, and how you have to look at the overall facts of a case and not just one piece of it, or you may miss something, or you may get trapped inside of a story that's just not true, or has been conflated to the point where you're doing more work than you need to, because what is being presented to you isn't true. And unfortunately, you still need to do the work, or you end up like what I found in the archives for Washington State on this cemetery, and that's a rumor. I mean, they literally wrote the words "rumor has it," and then they said that the headstones for the cemetery were moved to the basement of City Hall due to vandalism, and that they were forgotten about. A later administration found them and moved them back to the cemetery, but unfortunately the people who moved them down to the basement of City Hall didn't document where the headstones went, so they just put the headstones back in the cemetery and erected a fence around it. And wow, I understand moving headstones, especially if you want to preserve them, but not documenting where they would go is another thing. But like I said, this is also a rumor, and I only have a few people I can talk to, and I can only look in certain places to see if this is even true. And I pray to God it is, and I pray to God that, if they were moved, they were moved for a good reason, and that they were documented where they went. On top of that, there's also a legend about this place, but thankfully I've been able to partially debunk it, but not fully. I still want to make sure that my information is correct, because the archives are a mess, like I said. And for this cemetery, they only had a list of 39 people, and they had no birthdays or death days. There apparently 11 of them are children under the age of 1, but again, I don't have any way of verifying that yet. Still doing more research, but I have to debunk the fact that if there's 81 people buried there, that's a very serious thing, because that means that they're buried right on top of one another. It's a half an acre, and I mean, that's not a lot of space for 81 bodies. And the other thing is that this report said that 40 of them were children under the age of 1, which I can understand finding a lot of children, just because it's pioneer times. There's no infrastructure. There was only one doctor in this town for many years. He's actually buried in that cemetery, along with his entire family and a couple of other people. And I'm not going to go into too much detail yet. I do want to do a full-on video on this investigation. But I'm just trying to talk about what I've found so far, and how I decided that after I've looked at this information, I decided to look into other cases that, older cases with well documentation about them, and how they also have myths and legends about them that aren't true. And I mean, just some of them are made up. And it's like the one I looked into was Amityville, but not the Lutzes, the DeFeos, and how he said that he was possessed by an angry Indian spirit, and he was just trying to get vengeance for his people suffering on that land. And there's another legend that there was a man there who built his cabin on the land and was worshiping Satan there, which Also, there's nothing to back that up. And then I also looked into the Black Friar of Pontefract and how the information for that, there is no supporting evidence to support the actual friar. Like, the people documented poltergeist activity in their house. They saw a black figure sink into the floor. But beyond that, I mean, the story goes that a friar was raping children, and so they hung him and then threw his body down a well. And the gallows were right across from the house, which that's actually documented. And it shows how sometimes legends are born out of facts. There's a house that had poltergeist activity with a black figure in it. You have the gallows that were right across from where the house was built, and then you have an area filled with monasteries, but there's no record of anybody being hung and then thrown down a well. And certainly, if there was, I'm pretty sure that would have been documented. But somehow this story got told about how it's a friar, but nothing to back it up. And I do have a lot of stuff to go through now, because it's like one thing led to another, led to another, led to another, and I'm really interested to find out what's true and what's not. And like I said, I am going to be doing a paranormal investigation too, and I hope that yields some results. But at the same time, I'm not going to be going in there disrespecting these people. I don't think the town will let me up there at night, so it's going to be a daytime live event that I'm going to do on YouTube. I'm going to walk up to the cemetery and see what's up there, maybe ask a few questions, and be on my way. And like I said, I don't want to disrespect these people. They've been up there for over 100 years, and they deserve their rest. So I will see you guys then. Have a good one.